thrilled to be here during this exciting time of expansion and growth. My name is Dr. Gwyneth Nelson. I am currently the Executive Director of the South Carolina Institutes of Innovation and Information, also known as SCIII. This is actually my home, Voorhees University. I was the previous vice president of institutional advancement and development, so it's so good to be home. Thank you. Thank you. As some of you know, South Carolina Institutes of Innovation and Information is an initiative and vision inspired by Senator John L. Scott, which focuses on cultivating the state's 7 four-year HBCUs overall contributions for the citizens and residents of the state. South Carolina has a very rich history when it comes to educating people of color, and the state's 7 HBCUs produce more than 50% of all Black college graduates in this state. I'm so pleased to tell you that at Voorhees University, the Rural Community Development, also known as RCD, will comprehensively prepare students to improve quality of life in rural communities around Denmark, South Carolina. I know it will be transformative and a true game changer. Voorhees students, faculty, and staff will notice that having corporate partners attracted by RCD will bring about scholarships, opportunities for students, internships, and jobs while here at Voorhees, and then even after graduation. SCIII provides the perfect conduit for partnerships between South Carolina's HBCUs and state businesses and industry, which diversify and improves the overall state's workforce. SCIII and the great state of South Carolina are aware that there is life and also great possibility in rural South Carolina, and we are excited to unearth it. We are excited, very excited, to be on this journey with the administration, the staff, the alumni, and the students of Voorhees University. Thanks for this opportunity as we announce the RCD Institute.
Prior to me giving the invocation, I just want to acknowledge all of our elected officials. On stage, they will introduce themselves when they come up and make remarks. Of course, we have the senator as well. And so for those who are elected officials, I know we also have the county administrator from Bamberg. But if you are an elected official, will you just please stand so you can be acknowledged? Thank you. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we pause to give thanks. We thank you for this day, the day in which we are celebrating the coming together of these two entities, the South Carolina Institutes for Information and Innovation and Information, as well as the Rural Community Development Institute. We ask, God, that you be with us and guide us, and as we go forward, we make sure that that which we try to accomplish, that it is pleasing in your sight. These and so many more, God, we ask in your name. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Smiley. Now we will have remarks by the Honorable Everett Comer, Jr., Bamberg County Council, Rural Community Development Institute Chair.
Good morning, everybody. if you're in here, you're doing well. Anyway, to the presiding officer, Dr. Nelson, President Hopkins, Senator Scott, a whole lot of dignitaries in here, so I can't name them all, but I see some of my colleagues out there on county council and administrator, which has been mentioned already. I'm happy to be a part of launching this initiative. Some kind of way, my name got pulled out of a hat, and I'm the chair of it. But I'm reminded of something that I don't know if he coined the phrase or he got it from somebody else. Dr. Mays, he was Dr. Wright's president at Morehouse. He was gone when I got there. He said, whenever you do a job, do it better than anybody who's ever lived did it, and who's living now is doing it, and who will be born hereafter will do it. So that's the attitude I got about being the chair of this initiative. Because it seems like there's going to be some challenges. And I plan to work with all those who are associated with this initiative and other partners. And I see is all of the HBCUs will be involved in it. And we want to make sure Voorhees is in the leadership in doing what the initiative is all about. And I've been giving some thought to some things, and when I learned of who are the remainder of the ones who own this particular initiative, and we start having our meetings and start brainstorming and looking at all of what we have and looking at the mission and the vision, we plan to be in the forefront of what we'll be trying to accomplish. I think the ones who've selected me and had enough confidence in me to believe that I could take care of what needs to be done. Again, don't want to be long. I want to hear from Senator Scott. And I think he's one of the ones who's initiated this idea. So I want to see what all he has in mind. Again, I'm happy to be among you. Hope you'll have a good day. And just sit tight and let's be part of this program. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for those comments. Now we will have the Honorable Gerald Wright, the Mayor of Denmark.
Good morning. President Hopkins, Dr. Nelson, Mr. Smilin, all other program participants, ladies and gentlemen. I wish to first thank the program planners for including me on this very significant initiative. I've been afforded an opportunity to make remarks on a variety of programs here at the college previously and now the university, and it is always an honor to be here. Almost always in my previous remarks at whatever program or event, I've always made note of the fact that major contributions to the life and history of Denmark were directly related to and attributed to Voorhees School and Junior College, Voorhees College, and now Voorhees University. I, members of the Denmark City Council, other city officials of Denmark, citizens of Denmark, particularly those who have lived here for a significant amount of time, can and will attest to the fact that Voorhees perhaps uniquely stands out over time as a constant major contributor, a source of improvement of the quality of life in Denmark. I am continuously and forever grateful for my experiences here as a high school student and connections in many ways with Voorhees. We look forward for many other great things to come and for continuous improvement in Denmark. Thanks again for including me on your program today. And I apologize for this phone ringing. I thought I had to turn it off. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Wright. Now we will have the introduction of the speaker by Dwayne Smiling.
It is a high honor for me to introduce our speaker. Serving the 19th Senate District since 2008, Senator Scott's focus has been promoting economic development, improving internet access, HBCUs, fiscal policy, fixing our state's crumbling infrastructure, supporting veterans, and promoting workforce development through science, technology, engineering, and math, the STEM programs. His service to South Carolina spans for 32 years, and prior to being elected to the South Carolina General Assembly, he served on the Richland County Council as its vice chair for 2 years. In 1990, he was elected to the House of Representatives and served for 18 years before being elected as a state senator in 2008. As senator, he is a member of the Senate Finance Committee, the Labor, Commerce, and Industry Committee, Rules and Medical Affairs Committee. Senator Scott has served on several boards and has received numerous awards and recognitions. In 2002, he was awarded South Carolina's highest civilian honor, the Order of the Palmetto. Senator Scott proudly retired as Major General from South Carolina Military Department Joint Service Detachment in 2019 and is a member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity, Incorporated. Senator Scott also fought for and is a major supporter and champion of broadband in South Carolina. Senator John L. Scott Jr. holds a Bachelor's of Science degree with a minor in economics from South Carolina State University and is a graduate of the Diversity Leadership Academy at the Richard E. Riley Institute at Furman University. He's a member of Ebenezer Baptist Church in Columbia. He served as trustee for 20 years and deacon since 2005. He is the son of the late John L. Scott Sr. and Grace Scott. He is married and they have one child, John L. Scott III. Please join me in welcoming our speaker, the Honorable John L. Scott Jr.
Thank you, Mr. Smiley, and to the distinguished members of this platform. I can't say enough about your president, Dr. Hopkins, who I am so proud of having had the opportunity when I served on Voorhees board for 9 years to work with Dr. Hopkins. He was and is a perfect choice for this institution, who know and love this institution. But outside of that, Dr. Hopkins does understand economics and what it's going to take in order to turn growth back into rural community South Carolina. I want to recognize my good friend, Representative Govan, who's running for Superintendent of Education. He and I have been friends for more years than I can account for. We wish you well on your journey. I'll tell you, about 20 years ago, I think Representative Govan may have been the chairman of the caucus at that time. And there was some real conversation of whether or not HBCUs had operated, played out its useful life in South Carolina. Keep in mind there's over 104 HBCUs, and most of them were in southern states. That bothered me so much. I just could not let that leave my mind. Although we had worked for many years to bring this state-of-state lottery, we had done our part, and it was time for us to reap some of the rewards as a result of the additional funding, and to look at HBCUs, in which I'm a graduate and so many others of you are graduates, and to have that kind of attitude in terms of where funds should go. But in looking back and looking at the larger schools, USC, Clemson, and MUSC had a plan. Their plan went so deep, they asked the state for about $30 million in endowed chair funds. And they received that money. We had no idea what these funds were going to do. I'll tell you, they're doing the same thing that we're doing now. They created institutes. The Dalmore School of Business is no more than an institute. It brings in some of the best and brightest minds from across this country. Clemson, where my good friend Joey Preston, who I've worked with for many years up in Anderson, I think 9 years up there with him, Clemson created ICOT. ICOT was able to attract some of the most mechanical engineer and industrial people from across the world. They end up with BMW. MUSC became the research hospital for the state, already receiving state funding. On top of the $30 million, they had to match it. Where did match money come? Those partnerships that came from the private sector. So as I sat and I thought, and I couldn't put it all together, so I began to gain those experiences, whether it was with healthcare, or whether it was just working people or corporates. How do we make this work, Dr. Vanby, for all of the HBCUs we have? You can't make them all do the same thing because they do a lot of different things. So Dwayne Cooper and I, for about 12 months, went back and forth with some ideas I had, and so we took those ideas to paper. And we walked away with what is called the Institutes of Innovation and Information, better known as South Carolina III. And it was born. And from that, we made telephone calls, and I talked to each one of the presidents, meet the partners of III. TANA, the Institute of Teaching Nursing at Claflin University. BIC, Boeing Institute of Civility at Allen. They were already in the making. NIC, the Institute of Networking, Information Technology and Security at Mars. Mars was the first one, of course, to get their institute off the ground. And they're doing very well. They thought enough of me to even name that institute on my behalf. WAC, Wellness and Community Health Institute at Clinton College. BEST, Business Entrepreneurship, Science and Technology at Benedict College. And yes, my alma mater. BEC, the Institute of Business, Environment, Communication, and Transportation, South Carolina State University. The president is where the III is being housed, but it will be moved to higher education. And then it came home to a school that I'd spent more time on this college campus, even more than my own alma mater. Voorhees College, Rural Community Development. And Dr. Hopkins and I went back and forth, and he came up, he said, you know, rural community health, that's what we do. And I said, Doc, we got something. And so that's why I'm here today. Again, you have met the person who has had growing pains in getting III off the ground. And I would say to you some of the stories that I have heard in terms of getting off the ground. I feel sorry for you. But somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to do it. And so as we look forward to III, and You've just heard the members of the family of III. There were 7 family members of III, which large alumni, and a lot of your alumni work for corporations or either have retired from corporations, but we have never asked them to do anything for our schools. I can remember being in Boeing, and Boeing introduced those employees who were graduates of Voorhees College, and we did get a chance to take advantage of asking them for the money. But what is this III supposed to do? And let's look closer to III, because III is a technical arm, but III is also your partner in the technical arm. III is there to help you to create partnerships with corporate America, also with federal government, state government, and local government. Wherever funding can come in, that's where III is supposed to help rural community development. Rural community development has an eye of its own, has a direction of its own, has its issues of its own, but nothing that cannot be solved if we work together. Your institute is to provide scholarships for students. And yes, corporate student scholarships, we've never asked them for the scholarship money because a lot of them have foundations. And so we plan to tap those foundations as well, and even some of those foundations create partner of our own. Outside of their foundation, we are also in the process of creating our own foundation. And you'll hear more about that when the presidents meet and they come together. Our goal is to raise money for capital. There's a lot of conversation about where rural community development will be housed, along with who the director will be. Because that director is not like your vice president on the campus. That director has a whole different kind of job to take place. It also included expanding and training and also increasing the skill level for both the staff, the students, and the faculty. And these funds can, of course, be paid through the funding source, either your HEAP funding or through your institute. Our goal will be to meet the demand of the private and public demand in the job market. We have sat quietly by and have allowed rural counties, as I spoke with the mayor and the councilman early on, to let our people move from our counties and our cities, and they move to large urban areas. Case in point, Orangeburg County lost population, Bamberg lost population, Allendale lost population, Baltimore lost population, but the state grew. Where did these people go? Dorchester, Charleston, and Berkeley. Why did they go? We went through a course where when the pandemic hit, there was no broadband, and the kids barely could do their homework. Those corporations came in, they paid more and offered more, and it created an opportunity for families to be able to relocate in those areas. So no, they didn't leave off the planet. We know pandemic took some lives, but it didn't take that many. And so reality, these folk have relocated. So what are we going to do to try to help to get these folk to come back home? And that's going to be a tough job. One thing I want us to begin to look at, who is out there, who is knowledge based. This is not the first time this has ever happened. It's happened all across the country. We're relocating. You've heard in the past, especially in the 60s and 70s, where inner city people moved to suburban and then things changed and they came back. And that's kind of what that process is. So we're going to have to do some retraining, rethinking both staff and faculty, because they're the first delivery services back to our students, and begin to get them to also think outside of the box. On-the-job training is going to be very, very important, especially as young folk get a chance to work with these corporations, not only during the summer months, but also during the semester. We're also looking for research and development. These corporations have special projects. In many cases, if we are partnering with them, we get a chance to do that. Not just state government, but also corporates. The beautiful part of it is through your institute, you're able to invite some of the best and brightest minds on this campus to deal with those very specific issues that you're addressing. And these folks don't have to come from inside the United States.
there's some of the same problems that we're having across the world. Let's find out through some of these foundations and institutes, will they come and talk to us? We'll find in many cases it won't cost us a dime, just to expand an invitation. The institute at colleges and universities will become the mainstream of economic growth in the state. Now the state is growing. The only problem is that where we're physically located, we're not part of the growth. We've not made any major demand to commerce or to anybody else, even to be able to bring together city, county, local through economic development and begin to talk about the direction we need to go. Keep in mind that students must be included in this process. It's a learning and growing process. Our goal is not to educate them all and then move to major cities and we still don't feel the impact of the work that we put in it. So we want to build these institutes. We want to build some of the best state-of-the-art buildings, some of the best information, communication we can have. I like for it to be sitting in a rural development institute building that you built. And there's a screen and I'm talking to somebody else in South Africa who's also sharing ideas of what's going on in that portion of the world. We celebrate Elizabeth Evelyn Wright, founder of Denmark Industrial Institute. So it's not a new name for us. It was formerly Voorhees College, and congratulations, it is now Voorhees University. As we move from South Carolina, from the Industrial Revolution, where the steam engine, the sewing machine, the x-ray machine, the light bulb, and even the combustion engine were created, to the new institute, Rural Community Development. Those things that we want to focus on. Broadband. We have let $400 million this year to the development of broadband. Please get involved and find out what we can do, some economic growth and development back in these counties with it. One of the things that you're going to be faced with as part of rural community development, as the president continued to talk about electric cars and working with co-ops. And the co-ops having built larger mainframes, and where in the world will these charging stations go? Will counties and cities be able to receive any funding as a result of these charging stations, along with working with the co-op? Rural health has got to improve. Dr. Bambi is here, and she'll be working with you, doing some testing, and all the other HBCUs, and doing testing to make sure our students are healthy. Telemedicine. We lost 5 hospitals that closed down, and believe it or not, 4 to 5 were in rural communities. So there's a demand we're going to have to work with some of the larger hospitals, such as MUSC and others, and doing some partnership with, even if we have some temporary emergency stations open up, or even some telemedicine to help us get through it. South Carolina has some of the most contaminated water ever. So, Mr. Mayor, don't just think you're well. I'm telling you, in the city of Columbia right now, we're going through something. Even the taste is bad. I mean, we got some real problems. Charleston has some of the most polluted water. And so the real testing for rural community development, as you work through some of the environmental issues with some of your partners like South Carolina State and others in DHEC, let's take a look at and see what the rest of the world is doing. Let's bring some folk in to help us and teach our young people in our laboratories about testing and others. And believe it or not, your students, depending upon what they're interested in, don't necessarily have to remain at your institute. You can exchange students from one institute to the other. My goal is to make sure these young people are exposed as much as they can. And we want to make sure that business and corporations know that we want to be a part of this rural growth and development. As we train our students and faculty to meet the corporate needs and demand, we want to make sure as they learn, they're able to sit by some of the most knowledgeable people in their fields. Not necessarily just the faculty and staff, but through the exchange program with your partners. Your partners offer the opportunity, either them coming to your institute or your students going from your institute, to be able to sit and to learn. You know the most difficult part about getting a job out of college when you go to work for a company? It's not the job itself. It's the politics of the job. And so these kids would have already learned the politics of the job. To learn when to talk and when to keep your mouth closed. And so that you, in fact, can be promoted, learn, and you'll learn that happy hour sometimes means you go home and you study and you're prepared for the next day. That's the happy hour for the next day. We'll also learn, and we had a meeting in this room some 5 or 6 years ago, closing the gap. And we have a tremendous cultural unreadiness, culture gap when we come to rural communities. That gap has got to close. I'm telling you, it's got to close. Some have played it from one political party to the other political party. That's not fixing the problem. We've got to close the gap. We've got to work together. We've got to understand one thing. If we're going to grow, joy, we need each other. If not, we're not going to grow. We won't become a part of the global portion of the economy and be able to give back. We don't get these institutes off the ground. I'll be asking the next question. Then what else can we use to make it work? There's some tremendous folk out there. I could even start with some who I tag as partners. Who do you have in your company that can come and talk to the different classes and students, and especially those who are part of being a part of this institute? We got to eliminate our barriers. We got to look at water quality. Very little was talked about road safety. Most of the injuries that occur in South Carolina occur on major interstate. They occur on rural roads. And so we got to begin to hold some people accountable, because corporations don't want to move in areas where there are those kinds of rural issues. Communication system, we need to be a part of the broadband to make sure that what they build is significant enough to meet our demands. Recruiting of teachers, not just teachers for K through 12, but also professors and other staff to come in to be a part of the growing concern that we have to build our institute. Economic development, we use that word so interchangeable, but we got to begin to look at what is that is measurable. What are the things we can do through research and partnership? Your institute will provide corporate partnership, student involvement with scholarships, retaining additional education for staff and students, a director whose mission is to expand Voorhees College rural community development to a level known not across this country, but across this world. A new brand. Today begins a new brand for Voorhees College. And so when you're on your book, and kids are looking at where they want to go, and you've got your institute out there, they want to know, Doc, what can this institute do that other schools can't? Thank you. I really appreciate y'all allowing me to come and share.
Thank you so much, Senator Scott. Last but not least, we are going to have closing remarks by the Dr. Hopkins, President and CEO of Voorhees University.
Thank you, Dr. Nelson. I was waiting for the applause. Thank you so much, and good morning. Senator Scott, just thank you, sir. And I know you are conducting business as you always are, so continue to do that. I'm just going to talk about you a little bit. Senator Scott has been certainly a champion for Voorhees. He spent nearly a decade, as he indicated, on the Board of Trustees, and got into a lot of trouble because he advocated for Voorhees, and in fact, there are other institutions that were concerned that he was supporting Voorhees a little bit more than the other HBCUs even. However, the Bible says favor ain't fair. So you can say amen to that. We appreciate you, Senator Scott. And one thing that I would like for him to add, and I'm surprised Mr. Smiley didn't add it to his introduction, that he is now an alum of Voorhees University. In fact, he is one of the two first individuals that were conferred an honorary doctorate under Voorhees University. So, Dr. John Scott. so very much for all that you do. We look forward to working together with you, certainly working with you, Dr. Nelson. And yes, as Senator Scott alluded to, it's a lot dealing with multiple institutions. It's quite a lot. But I just know you're in good hands and in amazing support with Voorhees University. Hot off the press, we are on fire with our Rural Community Development Institute at Voorhees University. We have just hired our nationally renowned individual that will serve as the director of the Rural Community Development Institute. And many of you probably know her. If I had a nice band, I'd ask for a nice drum roll. But we are very happy that she'll be joining us actually next week, I believe. But the attorney, Kathy Scarborough Franklin, and I can also add PhD candidate in business, will be joining us as a director of the Rural Community Development Institute at Voorhees University. And in her absence, let's give her a round of applause. So we selected Kathy because we know she is going to drive us absolutely crazy. She is task-driven, she is task-oriented, and if you are in her way, she wants you to move because she is going to get the job done. So we are elated that she'll be joining us here at Voorhees University. Also, I'd like to just share a bit about how Senator Scott talked about the macro quite well. I'll talk about the micro here on our campus and what we're doing in Denmark. So as you recall, in December 2021, I was tapped to be the interim president of Voorhees College, and to God be the glory. It was an amazing appointment. I thank God for that. And immediately I said to the board, I will be interim, but I will not act as an interim. I'm going to act as the president of this institution from day one. And that's exactly, that was my vision. And part of that vision stems from the National Episcopal Church and Bishop Michael Curry, who talks about becoming beloved community. And that is absolutely a concern that I have about Voorhees, that sometimes we have this wonderfully operating institution, and so you have Voorhees here, and just a few blocks away, you have the city, and then, of course, the county and surrounding counties, and never the twain shall meet. That's a problem. So becoming beloved community is a very intentional, very strategic vision that we're reaching out to make certain, and thank you, Mayor Wright, that we are formal partners with the city, that we're formal partners with the county, so that we make certain that we can assist in identifying problems and providing solutions to those problems. We wouldn't dare say that we have all the answers, and we wouldn't dare say that we know everything. So in partnership, we will develop a needs assessment of the city, a needs assessment of the county, to determine what those problems are, and so that we can provide specific solutions to those problems. So we are absolutely elated that with that vision, then comes Senator John Scott saying, this institute is really apropos for the vision. So not only, and again, what's the beauty of it is all of the HBCUs will be working together. And when we get together, a lot of people say, oh, Claflin versus Morris, and Benedict versus Allen. It is absolutely not the case when presidents get together. In fact, we have a statement, and it's a little slogan that we have, that it's like, we are not competitors, we're collaborators. So we want you to know that. So we're not out to, now it's a different thing if you're on the baseball field or on the basketball court. Of course you want your team to win. Absolutely you want your team to win. But of course, running these institutions, we have to rely on each other, or elsewise we're going to fail. So we know that we are partners, we're thought partners, and we truly are working together to make these things happen. We tagged Mr. Dwayne Smiling, who is absolutely accomplished to be the executive director of Becoming Beloved Community, and he has hit the pavement running. So we're very excited. We're really off to a great start. So we are, one thing that we have done already is that we, in partnership with the board, school board here, we have acquired the former Denmark Olar elementary school, and the vision is to repurpose that building so that it actually serves as the hub for Becoming Beloved Community. And we had, the vision was to actually launch several of our initiatives in that particular facility, including the Center for Women's Advancement and Development, the Institute for Social Justice, the Institute for Environmental Justice. So there are a number of things that we want to do in that particular location. But I agree with Senator Scott that he thinks big. That's why I like him so much. He thinks really, really big. He's saying you need to build a building, and that's what we intend to do. So we absolutely intend to build a complementary building to Becoming Beloved community. That will be the Rural Community Development Institute that will certainly embrace some of the other things that we want to do. There's so much to do, not just in Denmark, not just in Bangor, but in the world, in the state of South Carolina, in the world. And we hope that these institutes, and certainly our institute, will certainly be a thought engine that daily what we're doing is that we are trying to illuminate problems so that we can provide the solutions to those problems. That's the point of having the institute. So this certainly is exciting for us. It's exciting for us at Voorhees University, and we certainly believe that it will be one of the things that will put us on the map internationally. And anybody who knows me, they know that I'm a global thinker. They know that I'm an international partner, and that I believe in us working together. But certainly from an international perspective. This cannot happen without the partnership with many of the folks that are in this room. And I'm so proud, and certainly, again, I'd like to recognize the mayor of the city of Denmark, Mayor Wright. If you'd stand again, and if there's anyone from City Council, if you're here, thank you so much. Let's applaud our City Council. And certainly all of my friends from County Council, all of the County Council representatives, would you please stand? The County Council representatives. Thank you so much. Again, this is a true partnership that we have, and please know as well that we have to start at home. This starts because we pull our vision together, we pull these thought processes together, we meet and we debate, we engage in intellectual debate, and we decide how we're going to move forward. And it happens because of the folks that we have in this room as well. So I'd certainly like for all of the faculty and staff that are present, would you please stand? Faculty and staff of Voorhees University, would you please stand? Thank you so much. Thank you for all that you do, and thank you for the amazing support that I have from you. It is really amazing, and the reason we are all here is because, there's a statement that a lot of folks say when they talk about their jobs as CEOs, and they talk about what keeps me up at night. But I'll tell you why I get up so gleefully and thankful and grateful in the morning, and that's because of our students. That doesn't keep me up at night. If it does, it's only because I'm so excited about what can we do to improve the conditions at our institution for our students. And so the students that are here, would you please stand? We have a few of them that are here today. Would you please stand? Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate that. Certainly, and I always take the time to acknowledge the individuals that keep me on my toes, and I consider them my advisors because they are, and they are experts in their own right. But I would like for the executive cabinet of Voorhees University to stand and remain standing so that people can know you, so that when you're reaching out, you'll know who they are. And so with the executive cabinet members, would you please stand? To my left is the incomparable, brilliant, wonderful provost and vice president for academic affairs. She's like, yes, more. Dr. Demara Hightower Mitchell. Directly in front of me, and how apropos is that? Because she slaps my wrist every time I get ready to spend some money, and she says, you're not going to do it. But I am so honored to work with, because she's been at Voorhees for 30 years. I know she looks like she's 21, but she's served Voorhees for 30 years. And so she's currently serving as the Vice President for Business and Fiscal Affairs, V. Diane O'Berry, Miss O'Berry. A wonderful gentleman who keeps me on my toes and keeps me in front of folks, and we are always asking for money, and he does that very well. And in fact, he is Dr. Nelson's predecessor, or did I say that the right way? She's his predecessor, Dr. Prince Brown, an amazing scholar. I tell him always, I learn so much from him. He is absolutely brilliant. I just appreciate having him as a colleague. Dr. Prince Brown. Certainly last but not least, Dr. Corey Amaker. He is the probably, in fact, not the first because we did have that division before, but he is about a year old now. He's the Vice President for Strategic Planning, Assessment, and Technology, and you talk about another gentleman who's absolutely brilliant. Now, his kind of brilliance is the one that sort of drives you crazy, because he's more like the Professor Clump brilliant, that it's like, Dr. Amber, I don't know what you're talking about. Can you just do it? But he is just absolutely brilliant. We certainly thank you, Dr. Amber, for bringing your brilliance to Voorhees University, and we thank you for being a part of the team. Let's hear it for the leadership team. We have two other absent. We have a newly appointed Vice President for Enrollment Management, and I think he's away today, but that's Mr. Adrian West. And talk about people committed to Voorhees. He's worked at Voorhees for 25 years, although he looks about 19. So he's just been announced last week, in fact. And we have Ms. Charlene Johnson, who is a very accomplished Vice President for Student Affairs and Athletics, and she and her whole team, they are away on their annual retreat. But it's a team. This is absolutely the team that we have, and we're working together. And you will see, and again, I continue to say, and I will anchor in the word of the Lord, that eye has not seen, ear hasn't heard. Absolutely not. What Voorhees University is going to become, and the lives that we're going to touch. We are indeed moving to that next level of excellence, because we are indeed Voorhees University. Thank you so much.
I hope each and every one of you have enjoyed this great occasion, historical occasion for Voorhees University. I look so forward with working with everyone in making RCD a great success. As many of you know who have worked with me, my motto is always, failure is not an option. So we will make this a success. It will be a success, and it will be the next level of excellence. So again, thank you. I think there's refreshments in the back, and we'll be around to mix and mingle. Thank you again. Have a great afternoon.